This is the story of Canada's Toronto Pearson Airport, where a single thief continuously stole goods for 15 years between 1985 and 2000, but the police couldn't catch him during all that time. He executed these thefts so cleanly that officers reviewed every CCTV footage and camera angle, even deployed undercover agents to catch him, yet they still found nothing. You will be surprised to know that over those 15 years, the value of the goods he stole reached up to $4 million. So who was this thief? How did he carry out these thefts? And how did he finally fall into the hands of the police? You will be astonished to find out. Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel, The Insights. And before we dive in, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our videos. Now let's dive in. The story begins at Pearson Airport, Canada's largest and busiest international airport, which is also home to the country's biggest cargo terminal, where thousands of shipments come and go throughout the day, non-stop, 24 hours a day. Almost everything in the world passes through this terminal: food, clothing, electronics, and highly valuable items of every kind. That is why Pearson Airport had deployed about 100 police officers and 20 police dogs purely for security purposes. The security was so tight that if anyone even attempted to steal something, they would be caught immediately. Workers who committed even minor thefts were either fired or sent to jail. Yet despite all of this, one person continued stealing from this cargo terminal for 15 years straight, going from an ordinary worker earning $100 a month to a full-blown millionaire. Although this thief started his operations in 1985, the Pearson Airport administration only began to notice something was wrong in 1992. It is quite shocking to think that 7 full years had passed before the airport even suspected that valuable items were disappearing from the terminal. Upon investigation, they found that cameras, hard drives, computers, and various other expensive items had gone missing, totaling around $3 million in value. The ground slipped from under their feet, and the airport administration and police immediately swung into action. But one question constantly troubled investigators: how were the thieves escaping despite such tight security without raising any suspicion? The security was so strict that CCTV cameras were installed at every corner of the airport, and guards would not let anyone enter or leave the cargo terminal without checking their ID cards. In response to the thefts, police doubled down on security measures. Workers now had their pockets, lunchboxes, and bags checked in addition to their IDs. New CCTV cameras were installed and monitored around the clock, yet neither did the thefts stop, nor did police find a single useful clue. For years, valuable goods kept silently vanishing from the terminal. The cargo area was enormous, processing thousands of shipments daily, and in the 90s there was no proper inventory management system in place. Shipments that arrived were sorted into categories and placed in a corner of the warehouse, with no entries made into any system or register. This was the precise reason why the administration had taken so long to discover the thefts in the first place. By the time police were on the case, they feared all evidence had long since disappeared. Police then decided to question the cargo terminal workers directly, but these workers had spent years working side by side and had become a tightly bonded group. No matter how carefully the police worded their questions, every single worker gave exactly the same answers. The interrogation went nowhere. Frustrated, investigators developed a new theory. An entire organized criminal gang was operating inside the airport. They believed this gang had insiders at the highest levels of airport management, people who knew every camera angle, every security route, every checkpoint, and that supervisors, managers, and truck drivers were all working together in one massive conspiracy. It was the only logical explanation. But when police finally unmasked the thief, the revelation was staggering. There was no gang. There was no inside man at the top. The culprit was a single truck driver, one person who had pulled off the entire operation completely on his own. His name was Hoa Lam Ong. Originally from Vietnam, he had arrived in the Canadian city of Toronto in 1980 with just $50 in his pocket. He had one overriding goal: to become rich as quickly as possible. by whatever means necessary. He understood that wealth required connections, so he treated everyone he met with warmth and generosity, making friends quickly wherever he went. Before long, Lam met a woman named Theresa. She was also a Vietnamese immigrant who had made Canada her home. After a few meetings, they fell in love and married. Lam moved into Theresa's home, where she lived with her stepson, Benny. Theresa worked at a shipping company, and through her help, Hoa Lam Ong secured a job as a truck driver at the same company. His role was straightforward: collect cargo shipments from Pearson Airport and deliver them to their owners across the city. His monthly salary was just $100, laughable compared to the life he dreamed of. But as he drove across the city making deliveries, he came to understand just how extraordinarily valuable the contents of those sealed shipments were. That realization planted the seed of an idea, a plan so cunning and so patient that it would keep police and airport authorities chasing shadows for 15 years. The core challenge Lam faced was simple. He had no airport ID card, so he wasn't permitted inside the cargo terminal. While workers brought shipments out and loaded them into his truck, he had to stay outside and wait. So he turned to his greatest skill-building relationships. He began giving small gifts to the warehouse workers who loaded his truck. He invited them to his home for meals. He listened to their problems, remembered their names, and gradually became someone they trusted. But all the while, he was carefully studying who was most financially desperate, who had loans hanging over them, who earned the lowest wages, and who was most likely to bend the rules for a little extra cash. One morning, while a worker was loading his truck, Lam quietly made his move. And he asked the man to load a few extra shipments into the truck without telling anyone and offered him $2,000 in return. The worker was stunned. That was more than his monthly salary in a single handshake. He agreed on the spot. He also knew the terminal was so massive that a few missing boxes would never be noticed. This was Hoa Lam Ong's first successful act of theft. When he arrived home and opened that first stolen shipment, he found electronic goods worth approximately $100,000 packed inside. For a bribe of just $2,000, he had made a $100,000 shipment disappear. He sold the electronics to computer and hardware shops at prices slightly below market rate, and the buyers were more than happy to take the deal. His operation quickly expanded. He bribed multiple workers on different days, pulling out shipments of electronics, clothing, and shoes, and selling the contents to buyers at discounted prices. His network inside the terminal grew, and his grip on it strengthened. He was no longer a struggling truck driver. He was becoming a very rich thief, but a significant problem nagged at him. The shipments were sealed on the outside. He had no way of knowing what was inside until he got home and cracked them open. This made it hard to line up buyers in advance, and he constantly had to scramble to find the right person to sell to after the fact. The solution came in the form of Theresa. She worked in the documentation department at the shipping company, which meant she had full access to detailed records of every incoming shipment, what it contained, how much it was worth, which flight it was arriving on, and exactly where it would be stored in the terminal. When Lam revealed his operation to Theresa and asked for her help, she agreed. Everything changed. Now Lam could specifically target the most valuable shipments, direct his workers to extract exactly those boxes, and negotiate deals with buyers before the cargo even arrived. By the time a shipment reached his hands, it was already sold. As his confidence grew, so did his greed. Where he had previously stolen 1 or 2 shipments a day, he now began taking 3 or 4. But volume brought its own complications. Larger shipments contained more goods, which required more buyers and more coordination. Lam was being stretched too thin. Theft was outpacing distribution, and unsold goods were starting to pile up. That is when he decided to bring Benny, Theresa's stepson, into the fold. Benny took over all selling and distribution responsibilities and handled it with remarkable efficiency. He created fake invoices to accompany the stolen goods and had business cards printed under the false name Joe Young, representing a fictional shipping company. Wherever Benny went to sell goods, shop owners saw a professionally presented representative from a legitimate business. They had no reason to question a thing. Though Benny sold stock quickly and cleanly, but even his efforts weren't enough to keep up with the flood of stolen merchandise. The goods began to accumulate faster than they could be moved. Lam needed space, a lot of it, and somewhere the police couldn't easily reach. He bought 2 houses side by side. He lived in one and converted the other into a private storage warehouse. Neighbors soon noticed the constant movement of goods in and out of the second property, day and night, and started casting suspicious glances. True to form, Lam deployed his charm. He visited every neighbor personally, introduced himself warmly, brought gifts, and explained that he worked in the shipping industry and occasionally used the house as a storage facility. The explanation was plausible enough, the gifts were well received, and just like that, the suspicions dissolved. Then came another breakthrough, the internet. When eBay arrived in the mid-90s, it was as if the operation had been handed a superpower. Lam began listing stolen goods online at competitive prices and quickly started receiving orders from across Canada and around the world. His online sales alone climbed to $5,000 a month. Whatever he stole, he could now sell. Supply and demand were finally in balance. And throughout all of this, the workers inside the cargo terminal remained fiercely loyal. Their loyalty wasn't just built on bribes over 15 years. Hoa Lam Ong had paid off their loans, covered their hospital bills, and financially supported them in times of personal hardship. They had no reason to betray him. Then, on the morning of November 21st, 2001, a phone call came into a Toronto police station. A man reported that his computer store had been robbed overnight. This robbery had nothing whatsoever to do with Hoa Lam Ong, but it would be the single crack that brought his entire empire crashing down. Police arrived at the scene, investigated, and found that the primary targets of the robbery had been hard drives. Routine procedure led officers to run the serial numbers of the stolen hard drives through their database. The results stopped them cold. Those serial numbers matched hard drives that had previously been reported stolen from Pearson Airport. This was the biggest breakthrough investigators had seen in years. Police immediately questioned the store owner about where he had originally purchased those hard drives. He told them a man named Joe Young, claiming to represent a shipping company, had come in and sold them to him. The owner still had Joe Young's contact number. When police traced that number, it came back registered not to any Joe Young, but to a man named Benny, the same Benny who was Hoa Lam Ong's stepson. Police placed Benny under immediate surveillance. They observed him removing goods from a storage warehouse, and when they examined what remained inside, the sheer scale of what they found made everything clear. This was the stolen merchandise that had been disappearing from Pearson Airport for the past 15 years. Benny was taken into custody. Under strict interrogation, he confessed to the full extent of the operation, implicating Hoa Lam Ong at every level. But police weren't satisfied with just Benny's testimony. They wanted to catch Hoa Lam Ong in the act. Rather than making an immediate arrest, they kept him under covert surveillance. The officers tailed his truck from the shipping company to the airport, watched him load shipments, make legitimate deliveries, and then divert stolen cargo back to his warehouse. At that precise moment, police moved in. They raided the property, arrested Hoa Lam Ong and Theresa simultaneously, and seized the warehouse full of stolen goods. A search of the house turned up cash hidden everywhere inside the bed frame, in the sofa, between the stairs, and in Benny's room. The total cash recovered came to $1.2 million. Charges of theft and possession of stolen goods were filed against all three, but before the trial began, Hoa Lam Ong made a proposal. He offered to confess fully, cooperate with the police to help recover the remaining stolen goods, and return the $3 million in proceeds on one condition: that Theresa and Benny be released. Police agreed to the terms. Lam held up his end of the deal completely. In recognition of his cooperation, Theresa and Benny went free, and his own sentence was reduced from 12 years to just 2. This was the story of a thief who outwitted police and airport authorities for a decade and a half, not through a sophisticated criminal organization or cutting-edge technology, but through patience, charm, carefully placed bribes, and a remarkably sharp understanding of human nature. Let us know in the comments how you liked this story. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. We will meet again in the next video with another amazing story.